fucking shit am I supposed to do? Motherfucker. Son of a bitch. Son of a bitch, dude. Oh, fuck, he threw another rock at me. Real motherfucker. Ah! Ah! Son of a bitch. Son of a bitch. Oh, what? It's fucked up, dude. Son of a bitch. Fuck! Dude. Okay, wait, this movie now? Oh, wait, now it hurts me? What? Absolutely ridiculous. So it's coming for me now. This little cart. Hell yeah, dude. Such shit. Damn it. Son of a bitch. So I kill him now? So he's dead? Interesting. Well, he deserved it. He deserved death. He's trying to throw rocks at me. Oh, he's back. He's back. Fuck that motherfucker. Son of a bitch. Oh. So the whole dock disappeared into a void of nothingness and I fell to my death. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining me on episode 47 of MAME Politics. Very nice to see you guys. Let's see who's here. Some new people in the chat that I haven't seen before. Some familiar faces. You have LSD syndrome, Jose Velasquez? That's pretty cool. Does your brain just always produce LSD? Are you just always tripping? So thanks for joining me. If you missed it earlier, I did a previous live stream on this channel where I went to the Princess cruise ship docking in Oakland and tried to see what the hell was going on. Pretty much a really eerie scene with no government officials whatsoever. At least no government officials making themselves visible. The only government presence that I saw were some unmarked military and potential CDC people behind the gates of the dock, setting up hazmat tents and stuff. But I didn't see it with my own eyes. I only saw that off the ABC chopper feed. So Pretty creepy scene. Francisco Raposo just told me that I didn't realize Bernie was doing a Fox News town hall, but he says Francisco Raposo says Bernie just got scared when asked a question about cutting defense spending in the Fox News town hall. Not surprised to hear that. Like I've been warning, even if you like Bernie Sanders or like really passionate about him, I can guarantee you that if you are a listener or a viewer of this channel, you will, from between now and the election, become incrementally more disappointed with the weakness of Bernie Sanders. Something about his personality does not fight when he needs to fight. This is a reoccurring problem with him. It's going to continue to be a problem, and the more people attempt to corner him, the more he's going to allow himself to get cornered. I didn't watch this Fox News town hall myself, but I'm not surprised to hear that at all. But I would like to check that out to see what else Bernie said in it. Oh, Jose Velasquez too. You're not talking about the drug LSD. By LSD, you mean Jose Velasquez Jose Velasquez says that he has little small dick syndrome, and he says he gave it to his wife. I'm sorry to hear that, but micro penis people are people too. You know, you can still function in life. Just become a champ at eating pussy. That's the way to overcome that. So I'm sorry you're suffering from little small dick syndrome, Jose. Francisco said he looked really insecure and uneasy and immediately changed the subject. Bummer. But total bummer. So how many people here are scared of what's happening right now with the coronavirus? And if you could just tell me really quickly, if you are scared, well, if you're not at all, tell me your level of fear on a scale from 1 to 10. Tell me your level of fear. I'd say mine's probably about a 5 or a 6 right now in terms of coronavirus. I think it only increased after going down to Oakland to see the lack of government presence and the lack of any government officials willing to talk to the public, or really any officials. I mean, it was a total ghost town except for reporters, journalists with no idea what was going on. All they were doing was taking footage of the cruise ship docking. Obnob says, I'm like at a 7 or a 5. Or sorry, 7 or an 8. That's pretty high. A Catch 22 says, not gonna lie, I'm like at a 7. Smashy Trashy 100 says, I'm at a 3 or a 4. Ned Ryerson says, not scared equals 1. Bring it on. Jacob Paradita says 6.9. Voltavin ranking at the lowest score yet at 0.5. Personally, I'm not afraid of it, says Furious Side Up 4. I don't know if you meant to type 0.4 there, Furious, or 4, but 4 seems pretty high to me still. I mean, I would see if you're not afraid of it, I would say like 0 or 1. That would be the proper number. So if you're saying 4, I mean, Sandra C., where do you live? What government are you referring to? I'm assuming you're obviously not talking about the U.S., right? I think the main concerns for me right now are worrying about other people, older people, people with pre-existing health problems. Like Obnob says, I'm a diabetic and my parents are oldish. So anybody with diabetes, anybody who needs insulin, anybody who needs regular medical care, anyone who's pregnant, these things are going to be possibly severely impacted by how many people will need to be treated in the hospital. The hospitals might get flooded. This is, I think, a realistic fear at this point. That being said, I think most of the people who probably get treated for it in the hospital are going to survive, even if there's no vaccine. However, it's the people with underlying health conditions that are going to be impacted by not being able to get medical care. People who require insulin to live. That's a pretty serious thing. Francisco Raposo says his worry level is about 2. Isabel, yeah, no airport screenings in or out of the country. A good friend of mine just left for the UK. She did not get screened. And actually, a bunch of my friends actually just left for the UK as well. I've forgotten about that. So I should talk to them to see if they had been screened or when they come back, if they're screened or asked any questions. Isabel mentioned Africa. Flew to Africa from SeaTac. It seems like Africa is getting hit very mildly by this right now. And there's been talk among African Americans, like jokes even being made, that they're immune to it. Now, it is sort of an unusual, typically, like the last pandemic was like pretty much Africa centric. It was Ebola. So it is interesting that very few African Americans and children across the world have been affected by this. I don't know if there's an actual breakdown of ethnic or ethnicities that are getting infected across the world, but if there is, I would be curious to see it. There is some, I think, anecdotal data to suggest that part of the reason why so many Chinese people got infected so quickly is because of the high rate of smoking in China. It has one of the highest rates of smokers in the world, I believe, still. Latin America, obnobs, I think Brazil and Portugal, or no, sorry, not Portugal. Brazil and Peru reported a few cases, but that's about it. It's pretty minimal in South America right now as well. Jose Velasquez too, yeah. I think imports and exports are going to be definitely impacted. We're going to have an economic decline. Exports and imports will be affected. Medical care for general, consistent medical problems will be impacted. And that, I think that's the main things we have to worry about right now. Now, another stage of that could be forced mandatory quarantines, some kind of penalty if you leave your home and you travel without getting permission from law enforcement or some kind of federal agency. That's the next stage of this that could happen. And that's going to be quite scary for everybody. I mean, I'm sure some of you guys, were sort of raised on Alex Jones fear mongering like I was in the early 2000s. That type of shit scares the shit out of me. Voltavin, yeah, that's a good point. I mean, cases probably aren't being reported because it does start with symptoms of a cold. Ebola makes you bleed out your ears. That's what Voltavin just said. Yeah, I mean, for a virus that seems so subtle like this, it's hard to tell how many people actually have it. Especially in the U.S., because even though Mike Pence just went on a press conference and said that they have now over 1 million tests available in the country, apparently I've heard from multiple people that they were not able to get tested for coronavirus. And they even went to the doctor, and the doctor was probably like, you probably have it, but you do not meet the requirements for testing yet. So even though all these tests are available, the rules that the CDC has, I guess, put out only allow people with very, very specific circumstances to be tested so far. And that's kind of creepy too. Is it because of a shortage of the test? Is it because they don't want to inflate the numbers? They don't want to scare people? I don't know. I mean, it just does not seem to me like American infrastructure is ready to handle this type of event. Sandra C. That's great to hear that Iran has a decline in new cases the past day. Yeah, Obnobs, I did see that Ahmadinejad did say that it was a bioweapon, that he believes it's a bioweapon. If it's a bioweapon, I believe that it was not, whoever released it, like, let's just go down that rabbit hole for a second. If it's some kind of manufactured bioweapon, I believe in this scenario, it was likely accidentally released. It wasn't released by like the CIA or something, because it's obviously spreading all over the world. It's not contained. If this is some kind of much more contained thing, then I would start entertaining those theories more. Contained in the sense that it was much more directly targeted somewhere. I mean, the fact that so many Chinese and Iranians are infected with it does sort of hit me in the gut. It feels suspicious. However, it is infecting so many countries at such a fast rate that I don't really know how helpful it's going to be to think in those terms. Now, there are another group of people who are paranoid about vaccines. So if you get vaccines, oh geez, Jenny, I'm very sorry to hear that. Jenny just said, my uncle just died today under strange circumstances. He was diagnosed with bronchitis and sent home. He went home, laid down, and died. They're testing him for coronavirus. Jesus Christ, that's scary, Jenny. How old was your uncle, if you don't mind me asking? Gosh, scary. Now, the only reason I'm saying that I don't know if it's going to help to talk about this being a bioweapon or not is because I think one of the things we need to worry most about is panic and fear. As always in these situations, I think fear and panic will be a killer, will create most of the shutdowns. Even though I do think it's totally logical to look into the theory that it is some kind of bioweapon that maybe could have escaped or was deliberately released or came from the Wuhan bioweapons lab or came from this North Carolina lab that Francis Boyle is speculating it came from. I'm not trying to dissuade people from looking at those theories or entertaining them, but I do want to stress that mental health right now is extremely important. And some of these more conspiratorial narratives could aim to actually increase fear levels and anxiety levels, and they won't necessarily give you any useful information to help you protect yourself and your family. So I think first and foremost right now, we need to keep our own fear and panic in check. So if you're the type of person that can read about the bioweapons theories and go down those rabbit holes without increasing your anxiety or paranoia, go for it. I'm not saying you shouldn't. But if you do start getting more paranoid and these things you're reading are making you more anxious, these alternative theories about it being a bioweapon, about it, about martial law coming even, it's not here yet. We're not even close to that point yet. It's not going to do much good to worry and drive yourself into a paranoid frenzy thinking about that. But there is a balance. There is a balance between, panicking and fear overtaking you and versus actually being really practical and making sure you are prepared. So I think, and that's a fine line for different people have different line, somewhere there. Sandra C says, I highly recommend you look at The Last American Vagabond's take on the bioweapon angle. Obnobs, yes, we should be avoiding events with hundreds of thousands of people. I think that's absolutely, totally logical to right now shut down any like social gatherings, any massive social gatherings. Absolutely. Hand sanitizer, Voltavin says that there's reports that people are stealing hand sanitizers from hospitals. I mean, that's not really going to do people much good. It's actually a better idea to use just like pure rubbing alcohol or soap. Hand sanitizer has long been debunked as an effective method of preventing viral infection or bacteria. It's just not good enough. Um, Pure alcohol, slightly diluted rubbing isopropyl alcohol is better. So if they still have some of that for sale at stores around where you live, and it's not, and you're looking for hand sanitizer, just get some of that stuff if you need it. Sandra C, that too. Yeah, panic and stress decrease your immune system's capabilities. Absolutely. Absolutely. And also, I should say, this should be obvious, but anybody who vapes or smokes, um, marijuana or tobacco, I think, is at a higher risk for this, and that includes myself. Jenny Lynn, yeah, even if it's a bioweapon, which I think it is, the death rate really isn't that bad. Most recover. Yes, that is true. So we need to remember that the death rate, at least from what we've seen so far, yeah, Jenny Lynn, you're correct too. Rubbing alcohol has already gone the way of the face mask. Good luck finding any that isn't 3 or more times the normal cost. Yep. Now, just some examples of what's going on here. Uh, I've noticed some of the more conspiratorial people pushing alternative theories about coronavirus are huge Trump supporters, and that bugs me on a deep level. Um, I mean, it just disturbs me on a really deep level. Uh, because clearly this government and this administration are not handling this effectively. I think that's pretty clear at this point. So it's weird to me that someone could still be defending and showing, like this one guy on Twitter who's all over these coronavirus conspiracy theories. I'm not going to call him out by name, but in between tweeting about coronavirus fears and all this stuff and saying that the government's going to quarantine people and stuff, he's tweeting like pro Trump posts showing like Trump hanging out with black people, like Trump is like really does really great things for black people. And it's like, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you? Just get your head out of your fucking ass, man. Like, this is just babyish bullshit to be licking the president's boots in between trying to create these alternative theories about coronavirus. And it's very Alex Jones like. And even Alex Jones himself, on 2 of his broadcasts that I happen to catch, is now having to explain to his audience why he's not Trump bashing for criticizing the president's and the administration's response on coronavirus. He's doing this weird pretzel twist balancing act where he's like, yeah, maybe this is like a bioweapon. Maybe the government is going to like start quarantining everybody in martial law. But at the same time, guys, like I'm not trying to criticize Trump here. I'm just calling it like it is. Like people are saying I'm bashing Trump. I'm not. It's like, dude, just fucking stop being a fucking pussy and just talk about it. Like, who cares if you're bashing Trump? Who are all these assholes out there who even would? It's just like so sad. We're 3 years into this dude's presidency, and there's just so many of these idiotic conspiracy movement loyalists out there. It's unprecedented. Jenny Lynn, yeah, I feel bad. I'm starting to feel bad for people who are deeply invested in or canvassing for Bernie, because if he's not pulling his weight and he's not even acting as like aggressive as Joe Biden, we're in for this is a real disappointment for a lot of people. And I feel more for the people who've invested so much into his movement that are being let down. And I think that they're still trying to keep up the front, that they're still really excited about him perhaps. But I mean, he's made a lot of missteps in recent days. Even his last debate performance was possibly one of his worst. So, yeah. Yeah, White Seed, I think that your concerns are so much more valid than the idea of dying from this virus. So White Seed says, I'm much more worried about the government than using this to their own advantage, being quarantined or just running out of essential supplies due to the public panic than the actual virus. Absolutely. I mean, this could prevent the election if this keeps going. And I know that Trump is an incompetent fool in a lot of ways, but he could be handed the keys to a fascist totalitarian version of the U.S. government we're in now, if there is a national emergency declared and people are put down in mandatory quarantine all across the country. It's already starting to happen. This could be, and I'm not saying this in any way to be hyperbolic, or I'm not trying to sound like a neo-lib, but this could sort of be the inadvertent, bumbling, sort of reality show TV host, Trump turning into the new Hitler moment. This could produce a lot of excuses for the government to take away our civil liberties, just on a basic level. Hey, Joel, you're in Montana. There are no coronavirus cases in Montana right now, from what I've heard. Son of a bitch threw another rock at me. This motherfucker. What a stupid asshole. Oh, what? This game is very hard. I say that at every game I play. Son of a bitch, dude. Son of a bitch. Okay, let's give this another try. I'm going to try to beat one level. Remember when I tried to beat Popeye and I couldn't even get past the first level? That's what this is going to be like. Son of a fucker! Dude, he threw the rock like right in my direction. Every time. Son of a bitch. Oh, fuck. Shit. Oh, you son of a bitch. Wow, they're both. Oh, fuck! What the fuck, dude? He throws a rock right on top of my head. So, in case you're wondering why I'm playing Dock Man today, it's because I just went down to the Oakland port. I thought I would keep the theme in line. It kind of looks like the Oakland port a little bit. Even the bearded hipster guy that's throwing rocks at me looks like... I actually saw some like hipster employees. Dude looked like a hipster who was like running one of the forklifts. I mean, it's Oakland. There's a lot of hipsters out here. Blue collar hipsters. Shit! Fuck! I feel like this might have been originally on a trackball or something because the joystick is just not cutting it. You can tell that's a dead giveaway when someone's terrible at video games and trying to save face when they're like, yeah, the controls suck, dude. Like, why is my controller messed up? Did you ever have like video game 2-player like matches when you were a kid and like your friend would complain and say that he was doing badly against you because his controller was messed up? Or did you ever like purposely try to sabotage your friend and give him a messed up controller during a video game match? I feel like I was like a kind of an asshole kid, and I probably did that a couple of times. Like I knowingly gave my friend the broken joystick or like Super Nintendo controller just so I could like egotistically like do better than him. Fuck! This game is like Burger Time for idiots. It sucks. Look at this. What the fuck? He threw it right at me again. Dude, this is very hard. Very hard. Son of a bitch! So this dock worker just throwing rocks at me and trying to keep me from doing my job. Really infuriating. Extremely infuriating. Oh no! Oh shit! I pressed the fucking button, dude. What the fuck? That's it. Now I died. I died. Has anyone played 2-player and the person losing unplugs your controller? Furious psyop? No, that has never happened to me, but I did have a friend who became, he was on the Warcraft 2 ladder boards, and he made it to like number 2 and sometimes number 1 top Warcraft 2 player in the world. For moments, he was like up and down the ladder boards. His name was Dr. Ash. That was his Warcraft 2 name. He played so many matches against people back in the day when before cable modem. There were so many people that would forfeit Warcraft 2 matches that they were losing by unplugging their modem. This was like a very common thing back in the day when people would be losing at these long play video game matches. They would fucking unplug their modem as like a way to abort, so it wouldn't count as a loss. But there were a lot of games like Warcraft 2 where it was like pretty clear you were losing like 60% of the game. So a lot of people would do this, as they would just unplug their phone line from their computer. Yeah, David Miller is a real scab worker who's trying to throw rocks at me and crush my skull and then drive forklifts towards me as I'm trying to load up the ship. Yeah, I mean, I would be careful too just taking any health advice when it comes to coronavirus, unless they're very common, like unharmful over-the-counter remedies. If you're not used to using anything like colloidal silver and anything of those things, I would not try to get on them now. I honestly think that might be bad advice. I think taking zinc is probably some of the more rational advice right now. Joseph Litska. No, I did not listen to that whole episode yet. Who is saying what you're describing? Ned, yeah, I was going to talk about Seth Rich today. I was. Because I don't even know why it came up again, honestly. I don't remember, but I guess I still find it odd. And maybe this is just because it's something that maybe I have a bias against it. I don't know. But I still find it personally strange that so many people are convinced that Seth Rich is absolutely the leaker and that he was murdered because of his leaks. I find that very strange. And I find it strange because really the most convincing point we have in that direction is a vague allusion by Julian Assange on television talking about how Seth Rich was murdered, the reward that WikiLeaks offered for his any information about his death, and the Seymour Hersh leaked phone call that was inexplicably given to Cassandra Fairbanks, who was really sus, who has White House access, who I think is a completely untrustworthy disinformation operator. But the Seymour Hersh phone call that was on her website is real. Besides those three evidence points, which to me are not proof that Seth Rich was the leaker, I don't know what else there is out there that's convinced people that he is. I'm actually completely baffled as to why. And I actually, if anybody in this chat is convinced that they have enough evidence that Seth Rich is definitely the leaker of the DNC email leaks, and they believe all that proof is already out there, please convince me now in the chat of that being the case. I'm actually very interested in finding out what has convinced you guys and what feels like definitive proof that Seth Rich actually was the source of those DNC emails. Ned Ryerson, that leaked Seymour Hersh phone call does not suggest Rich was assassinated. It only suggests that Seymour Hersh believes he has been received proof that Rich was the leaker based on an internal FBI document he's claiming he saw. He actually thinks the death is totally incidental. He doesn't think anything suspicious about the death. When you accept that Assange and Clinton have a blood feud raging on, these things get a little clearer, says Oz Whistles. How do you mean, Oz? Do you mean that that's leaning you more in the direction of thinking Seth Rich was assassinated by someone from Team Clinton? Or are you saying something different? Ned Ryerson, where do we have proof that Seth Rich was communicating with WikiLeaks prior to his death? That's what Ned Ryerson said. I have not seen that. I would like to see that. Ned Ryerson says, why would Julian Assange suggest that Seth Rich is the source? Well, if you really listen to his recording, he doesn't necessarily suggest that. He alludes to the fact that it's very dangerous for potential insiders, and then he goes on to say that this man named Seth Rich was just killed, etc. But my counter to that is, why would Assange suggest anything about someone being the source instead of just coming out directly with it? If this could clear all this up and prevent years of a extremely dangerous propaganda campaign that would basically shut down free speech in this country. Is he doing that out of pride? If he is, then why did he even allude to it in the first place? That seems like a rather big hint, doesn't it? Why doesn't he just say he's the leaker? So I'm not sure why he would have done that and not the other. and still not tried to get WikiLeaks to release any proof of him being the leaker. The other thing that confuses me is that I thought WikiLeaks had a policy of never revealing their sources. So was Assange just breaking his own rule in that interview and alluding to Seth Rich being the source? I don't think he was, to be honest. My perception of all of this is that perhaps Seth Rich's death is being used as a red herring to distract away from potentially who the other source of these leaks were. And I'm not saying they were Russia. I'm not saying they were hackers. I'm saying that perhaps, since Seth Rich is dead, he could be a convenient red herring or scapegoat to protect the identity of someone who is still alive. That's honestly where my thinking goes. Craig Murray's own statements about how he received and was the intermediary for USB thumb drives for these leaks actually contradicts a lot of these Seth Rich theories. So at some point, some of the people involved in the WikiLeaks hint dropping about Seth Rich have been being very squirrely about what's actually going on. And that has only complicated the matter for me in terms of its credibility. Well, Francisco Raposo, if it violates WikiLeaks practice, then why did Assange say anything about Seth Rich at all? That would be like him saying after the Manning cable leaks, the Afghanistan cable leaks coming out, saying, there was this person who's arrested, and it's very dangerous to be an insider who has access to all these documents, and we'd like to put out a reward for, to try to give her legal help. I mean, that would have been a violation of their, claim that they don't disclose their sources. They didn't even allude to that as far as I know at the time. Maybe they did. I mean, I actually would have to go back and look at that. And also, what about, seriously, look at Craig Murray's own actual story about how he got those leaks. Look at the actual story, because it actually came out before a lot of this Seth Rich wave happened. Francisco Raposo, I don't buy that. He implied it, he would not specifically violate it, and he was dead. I'd think that just implying it, if Seth Rich is the leaker, then that is a violation of the WikiLeaks policy. So if he's already going to violate it by implying it, I don't understand why he just wouldn't come out with it more strongly. That's the part that bothers me. There's something squirrely about what he did. I can't lie. That's really squirrely, and it's not clear. It feels like, and at the same time, I got to admit, Assange was caught in private DMs saying that he was going to stoke the Pizzagate conspiracy stuff, even though he didn't personally believe it. That makes me concerned that he actually identified Seth Rich's death as something that they could also stoke theories about in order to create some kind of agenda that they had. I know this sounds really critical of Assange and WikiLeaks, but I'm sorry. I don't think that they're a perfect organization that hasn't done anything squirrely. I've already told you about my strong belief that they covered up the Garani massacre video, which would have proven undoubtedly that Obama was a war criminal in the first 3 years of his presidency. It would have been hugely damaging for the Obama administration. And somehow, WikiLeaks inexplicably loses that video, claiming a defector steals it, and the video is rendered inaccessible. I have never believed that story, and I would recommend anybody who has heard that story or hasn't heard of it, look into that and tell me if that explanation on its face makes sense. Tell me that makes sense to you. Because it doesn't make sense to me at all. Francisco, there had to be another leaker. There had to be. So even if it was Seth Rich who leaked the DNC emails, Seth Rich did not also have access to Podesta's private email server. So even if you believe the Seth Rich theory, that only covers 50% of the leaks that WikiLeaks released. So nobody, as far as I know, is trying to construct the theory that Seth Rich managed to get Podesta's and the DNC emails and leak them both. So even if you believe the Seth Rich theory, there is another leaker. So that's, unless you believe it was hacked and both leaks were gained from a hack by the same hackers. Yes, bayonets and harmonicas, I did discuss Craig Murray and how I believe his own explanation of him receiving the leaks actually contradicts some of the Seth Rich narratives that a lot of the other Assange personalities are putting out. Ned Ryerson, I'm gonna refrain from giving my own opinions on Julian Assange or his personality or the way that he's managed the organization. While he's in jail and he's facing a really serious charges that are basically designed to shut down journalism in this country and in Europe, I'm not going to criticize him as a human being. I will criticize and point out some of the squirrely nature of the way that WikiLeaks pumped up some of the Seth Rich stuff. And it honestly has left me with just a feeling of confusion and befuddlement. Francisco Raposa, well, yeah. I mean, I do believe that very likely the DNC leaks came from an inside leaker. Absolutely. However, I have seen no evidence whatsoever that Seth Rich was that leaker. I have actually not seen any evidence either, concrete evidence that Seth Rich even would have had access to the DNC server emails. So those two things to me sort of stand in the way of, I think it's very likely that it was an insider who leaked the DNC emails. But at the same time, who leaked the Podesta emails? Was that a spear phishing attack, done by someone else, not Russia? I don't know. I've also, my faith in what Craig Murray has said originally about how they received those leaks, my faith has shaken a little bit in his actual story about that. People have tried to piece a timeline together based on Craig Murray's statements, based on some of the other more credible WikiLeaks figure statements, and unfortunately they don't line up. Someone is being squirrely somewhere in the narrative about how they got those leaks, and I can understand why. This is like an international witch hunt to try to take down whoever was involved in getting those leaks out. So I can understand the squirrely nature of it. However, it doesn't help the journalistic search for facts and trying to figure out exactly what happened. It doesn't help it at all. Kim.com's promises to reveal information if he's given a private meeting with Mueller doesn't help at all. It feels like sensationalist, bullshitty clickbait. He got everybody to go to his website one day where he's promising to drop all this Seth Rich stuff. And then when everybody got there, it's this horrific video where it seems like Kim.com spent hundreds of thousands of dollars having someone film him spinning the shittiest fucking Euro-techno shit you've ever heard. That was so cringe and so embarrassing, it made me want to fucking punch him in the face for being such a fucking douche. That's how much of a grifter I think he is. So it just, frankly, really annoyed me. And I'm sitting here arguing with people on Twitter who are like, wait, you don't think Kim.com is credible? You think he would have claimed that he had all this information to give to Mueller and it's a lie? Yeah, I do think he's lying. Yes, I do. Absolutely. Kim.com is not trustworthy to me. I don't even understand how he became like a figure in this scene of like, freedom of information, all this shit. I mean, like Mega, I just don't get it. And I do, maybe he was unfairly rated or whatever for doing Mega, but it's like, what credibility does he have in this? He chats with Julian Assange over DM, and we're supposed to believe everything he says? I don't believe any of it. None of it. So, I mean, am I missing something here? What am I missing? Francisco Raposa, no, the Podesta emails were not in the DNC server too. They were a private email account of John Podesta's. Yeah, Rhizome, choose your poison. Official Russiagate, Seth Rich, Craig Murray, VIPs, Dutch hackers, each has a logic, focuses attention on certain actors and conceals others. Yeah, I mean, I think, unfortunately, I don't buy any of those particular narratives individually. I am sort of lost. I feel completely rudderless on a watercraft in the middle of like a fucking ocean. I honestly, it just really does seem like the narrative about Seth Rich has had too many grifters trying to insert their own agenda into it, including grifters who are very close to Julian Assange for some reason. And it's honestly become, I mean, so I don't know if we're ever really going to figure out what happened. Unless somebody from Seth Rich's family comes out, like his brother, and is like, look, I'm ready to talk now. He did give these to WikiLeaks. He did this. I know he was talking to WikiLeaks. We didn't want the public to know, blah, blah, blah. To me, that would be like, okay, I believe it now. Right now, I honestly don't know what to believe. I did not discuss P.I. Rod Wheeler yet, Bayonets and Harmonicas, but that was another really problematic entry point into this as well. That was. I mean, the fact that Rod Wheeler was even hired by the Rich family to investigate his death, and then Rod Wheeler was then hired by like Fox News people to try to stir shit up. It's problematic, to say the least. Oh, Rhizome, yeah, some of the ET alien UFO stuff in the Podesta emails was very fascinating, for sure. Ned Ryerson, is WikiLeaks a limited hangout? Well, it depends on how you define limited hangout, Ned, because we already know for absolute certainty that WikiLeaks would negotiate regularly with the U.S. State Department and White House about what things they would redact out of their documents. So in a sense, that by definition kind of makes it a limited hangout in a literal sense. I'm not saying that WikiLeaks is some kind of government allied limited hangout operation, but they did regularly negotiate redactions in all of their leaks. That is something very, very true, very documented. And I don't know if they did this out of ego or if they did this to actually save lives in the American government or people in the field, but I disagree with it as a practice. I disagree with it strongly. I believe if you are sitting on information where there are CIA agents operating in the field that could have their lives put at risk if you expose them, you need to put those motherfucking people's lives at risk right away, because the CIA needs to be fucking exposed. And every single agent in the field who is thinking they're secret and they're not known needs to have that mask ripped the fuck off. And the fact that WikiLeaks actually prevented that from happening in multiple leaks, I think is problematic. And I will openly say that. Obnobs. I have a lot of thoughts on UFOs, but I mean, I think probably the most interesting thing is the fact that the U.S. military is now releasing UFO videos. That puts things in a whole new light. That's a really interesting thing, and I don't know what to make of that yet. I really don't. I don't know if it's some kind of information war with Russia or other countries similar to the UFO stuff that was boosted a long time ago. But yeah, I mean, look, I just want to make it very clear here that I strongly believe that what Julian Assange and Chelsea Manning did was completely legal. I think that all the charges concocted against them are false, extremely unfair, and obviously unconstitutional, designed to subvert the First Amendment and journalism in this country and abroad. That's what it's designed to do. And we were all led to believe that Obama was going to be the one to put the clamp down on this, but it ends up being Trump. That Trump extraditing Julian Assange and concocting these charges was up to him to do. And if you believe Dana Rohrabacher and this other story that recently came out Apparently, Trump did this because he did not get Julian Assange on record to say that it didn't come from Russia. Apparently, he needed Julian Assange to somehow be a witness or something. I don't even know if I believe that particular story, but the real truth is that Trump's administration is completely behind these charges, and Trump himself was involved in them. Is what accelerationism, Francisco? Accelerationism to say that all CIA agents should be exposed and that WikiLeaks shouldn't have redacted their names? Absolutely not. I think that's just journalism. If you're hiding CIA agents' names to please the U.S. government, I think that's kind of, I don't like that. I mean, that's not how I would practice as a journalist. So I would say if you have any major leaks that you want to get off your chest, be careful sending them to an organization that's going to redact some things in it that you might want to be released. You might want to have a fail-safe to actually leak them in full. Ned Ryerson, yeah, absolutely. Kevin Gostola is doing some really great work on Assange right now. He's there, or he was there, covering his hearing. I think that people should be following him. That's funny, Furious Psyop. Furious Psyop says, I was looking up an old friend on Facebook who used to be a big-time ecstasy dealer in the early 2000s and found out he works for the CIA now. Perfect fit. Well, that's the thing, Obnobs. I mean, if like any of us, did our own version of the WikiLeaks, our job and life would be automatically at risk. I mean, it would be. David, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it could be because Assange just refuses to disclose who the actual source is. So I don't think it lends any credibility that it's a Russian source. I think it does lend credibility to the fact that it could be a red herring narrative to distract us away from who the actual source is. And Assange and WikiLeaks people have been very, very good and savvy about making people not look at the real source or potential sources. That's one place my mind keeps going with this. But I don't think that means that it's Russia. Okay. I'm not going to let this hipster dock worker fuck me up anymore. We're going to kick his fucking ass. Oh, shit. Son of a bitch. Son of a bitch. This is hard. God, it's like he throws the rock at me like right when I grab shit. Ah, shit. Shit. You have to like press the button right when the thing falls to catch it. Okay. Oh shit, what? Fuck! Okay, I'm gonna beat this. I'm gonna beat it. Okay. Ah! Son of a bitch, dude. Son of a motherfucker. Yes! Fuck you. What? I think in my excitement, okay, so that was probably a good, this is probably a good time to wrap. In my excitement just now of destroying the hipster dock worker, I kicked the power adapter out of the Pandora's box. So sorry about that. If you're wondering why I just cut to a black screen, that's why. So, yeah. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in again to MAME Politics. This is episode 47. We are definitely going to be doing another 2-player MAME Politics soon. I know that I probably made you guys look forward to that with Lori. We were very busy this weekend, and we didn't end up doing it. It didn't happen, but we definitely are planning to do another one. We're going to try to do one this week, actually, in the evening, to make up for not doing one over the weekend. And yeah, so thank you again. This was Doc Man, and for anybody who wants to get access to all of the previous episodes of MAME Politics, all previous 46 episodes, about 1/3 of them are made hidden and locked after they stream and are only available to my Patreon subscribers at a tier of $5 a month. So just so you know, you can donate as little as you want to my Patreon page, but to meet the tier to get access to all of the episodes of MAME Politics and all of my other streams that I've done, because there's many other ones that I've done before I started the show, donate $5 a month to my Patreon, and you can get access to them. It's at patreon.com/Robbie Martin. Remember to follow me on Twitter as well, at Fluorescent Grey. Yeah. So thank you, everybody. Take care. And don't let your panic and fear get the best of you. Because even if this does become really, really serious and it gets worse and worse, fear and panic is going to be a killer, and it's not going to help. Taking it seriously is going to help. Preparing is going to help, but don't freak out. Don't let your paranoia get the best of you. Only check out the really conspiratorial dark narratives about coronavirus being a bioweapon if you can handle, increasing your anxiety levels. Mental health right now is very, very important, and I think it's almost more important than anything else. So, yeah. Have a great rest of your Monday, everybody. Take care.